Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kirk from LaneFlix Media. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Brawl in Cell Block 99 from 2017, directed by S. Craig Zahler. What if we followed a very specific character in a 70s grindhouse prison film? And I mean really followed, dramatically. You get Brawl in Cell Block 99. I first saw this movie, I believe, within like the first year when it was first on video on demand. I really enjoyed it. I was very excited to see the next chapter in Zahler's career because I had seen Bone Tomahawk, and Bone Tomahawk was established, like, to me as someone who really enjoyed like older practical effects in movies and stuff like that, and old West movies and old cowboy dialogue, stuff like that. So I was really interested to see his next chapter and kind of what he would move on to, and a prison film was excellent. It was a really good choice. There's not a lot of really good prison movies anymore. To me, Brawl in Cell Block 99 is one of the first movies to kind of get the angle so right of having, you know, this character that you identify with, but in a prison situation. It reminded me, when I first saw it, a lot of Escape from Alcatraz, which is a great Clint Eastwood movie. Yeah, if you ever want to see an awesome, like, vintage prison flick, check out Escape from Alcatraz. I still got to get a copy of it, but yeah, that's a really good movie. Another great prison movie everybody talks about is Shawshank Redemption. It is really, really good, but it's really, really overblown. Everybody says it's the greatest movie ever made. To me, The Green Mile is a better movie than Shawshank Redemption, but that's my opinion. The Green Mile, to me, is Frank Darabont's, like, crowning achievement. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The other thing is, I was really excited to see Vince Vaughn try to do, like, something dramatic, because it's very uncharacteristic of him to do something that's not really funny at all. So Vince Vaughn plays a character named Bradley Thomas, and he is a good old Southern boy, and he not quite as, we'll say, polarized as you would think. He's actually a pretty level-headed, average kind of person. It's just in a very unfortunate situation. I mean, hey, you deal drugs, you risk going to prison. That's kind of what you sign up for. But before I get into the plot, I think this is a 9 out of 10. I think this is a really, really great movie. I think if you like Vince Vaughn at all, if you liked Bone Tomahawk, or if you like prison movies in general, check out Brawl in Cell Block 99. It's fantastic. And it's weird, because the first time I watched it, I rated it like a 7 something. I was like, it's pretty good. I liked it. But watching it again and just seeing all the little nuances and little subtleties and stuff like that, it's fantastic. I love it. I think it's great. It's not a perfect movie, you know? I don't think anything nowadays will ever be a perfect movie again. I think Vince Vaughn really knocked it out of the park. I think Zahler did a great job just building this movie and putting it together. Anyway, now for the plot. We follow Bradley Thomas, Vince Vaughn's character, and he is driving to his mechanic job, I guess mechanic's office, from a job, and he's basically just talking shop to his manager. Natural dialogue, very just low-key. We're kind of thrown right into like a day in the life of this guy without flat out saying it, because his boss is kind of like a spineless, you know, modern day kind of like beta male kind of person, and he is just like, oh. And he won't tell Vince Vaughn that he's fired, that he has to let him go, and so Vince Vaughn has to, like, pull it out of him. He's like, alright, I'll go clean out my locker, and he gets this look on his face, Vince Vaughn, like he's gonna lose his crap, and just, like, is like, alright. And then he goes and cleans out his locker, and one of the other mechanics who works there is like, hey man, you know, we get some more work, I'll make sure we call you. And then Vince Vaughn is just like, yeah, I told the last 3 guys the same thing. Then we follow him home, and he's listening to some music. He's always listening to very soulful kind of hip-hop, but jazzy kind of hip-hop music. Really cool, very interesting. I know he and a friend of his who usually does his scores are in a band together, Realm Builder? Yeah, something like that. They have some interesting music. Go check their music out. So right off the bat, okay, with him getting fired before he even gets home, the first like main characteristic we see of Bradley is his self-control and his ability to kind of sink into himself and just be and not get upset, not show any extreme emotion. The self-control is in full display in both the first scene where Thomas is laid off and when he finds out his lady has been unfaithful. So he gets home, his wife is in her car, and he kind of pulls up on the side of the yard and he sees that she's like doing something, like putting makeup on her neck, and he's like, what? And he kind of like sits there and gets a closer look, and she has something like on her neck. So then he kind of goes up to the car and she gives him this weird look, and essentially you find out she's been cheating. And so he just tells her to go in the house. She tries to talk more. He hits the top of the car. He's like, go in the house. He dismantles a Mitsubishi, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but only because like I know like so many people, and I've wanted to do that so many times just from being so mad. So there's some kind of catharsis in seeing this guy who's like enraged just like beat up a car. Really interesting. Zahler, the director, had them make kind of a loose model car. And it is a Mitsubishi, it's a real car, but I just mean the parts that Vince Vaughn ends up interacting with and dismantling were all kind of loosened or, you know, just fixed on there enough for him to kind of break off. But it really works in the movie. When you're just watching the movie, you don't know anything about any of this stuff. It really feels like, holy crap, like he's actually beating up this car. That's insane. Like, how did he do this? Because it looks real. They don't use any kind of CG glass burst. They don't use any crappy effects. I mean, it was all done in camera. It was all there. And that kind of is a testament to the rest of the movie and what's to come, because every time Bradley has a deadly encounter with someone, the effects are all in camera. There's no digital blood splatters, there's no CG crap. And it kind of takes you back to old Grindhouse movies, but with the dramatic content and the acting in this movie, it's far, far more than that. It's almost like a Tarantino film, where Tarantino kind of took the themes and styles of exploitation and then added drama and real characters into that to kind of elevate it. After Vince Vaughn has beaten up his Mitsubishi, he goes in the house and talks to his wife, and in a way where you're not expecting. You're expecting him to kind of like get loud or get mad, and he sits there and you can tell he's very, very upset, but he is suppressing it in a way that he's not trying to upset his wife. He doesn't want her to feel the anger he's feeling, and he doesn't want to hurt her. So he very gracefully just kind of like has this conversation with her, and she's the same way. She's very graceful about it. She's very, you know, they both kind of own up to the relationship not going the way they want it to, and they resolve to try to be better. And come to find out, after I've seen the movie, you know, 3 or 4 times, I watch Beyond Fest panel with Zahler and the crew and the cast. And Vince Vaughn tells them that the reason he signed on for the movie is this scene, is because he saw this character that wanted to see the good side and wanted to kind of be better and wanted his life and his marriage to be better. And so that to me is really beautiful, because it pretty much makes this scene the heart of this whole movie. Typically, I would get into like major spoilers, but I'm not going to with this. I am going to talk about the plot, so I mean that's spoilers in a way, but I don't want to like tell you every little beat. It's like usual. I don't like doing that. I don't like telling you the whole movie. Like, just go watch it. You'll really enjoy it. And this is definitely a favorite. I would recommend this movie to almost anybody. Basically, Bradley decides he is going to, after he and his wife kind of resolve to be better, he decides he's going to go run drugs again like he used to. He's like, no, it'll be fine. They kind of have a little spat about that too. He goes there and meets with his old friend, quote unquote friend, they ran drugs for. and meets with the crew that he's going to be doing this next job with, which are two of the Sellers guys. They establish there that there's this guy who is a former user, who's one of the guys that's supposed to help Vince Vaughn, and the guy is very insubordinate and he's very like rebellious. So he's not like the best person to have on this kind of job. Vince Vaughn knows that. He's trying to tell his guy Gil that, and Gil is not wanting to listen. So when the time comes, things do go wrong. Vince Vaughn ends up having to improvise and ends up in prison. He has this sit down with an agent, I'm assuming an FBI agent, maybe a DOJ agent, but someone that is like kind of a higher up law guy. Thomas meeting with the agent almost seems like a subversion. Usually this kind of like just agent is someone who is just kind of like searching for or trying to uphold the truth in everything. Whereas the agent talking to Thomas, everything he says has a falseness to it. Everything he says, you can kind of tell he's coming at it at an angle. He's been through saying these things to someone before. So it doesn't feel like he's genuinely trying to engage with Thomas. It feels like he's more just throwing lines at him. And not in the movie sense. I mean, like, as a person, it seems like he's just kind of saying, like, going through the motions with this con. And Thomas can smell it, so he sticks to his truth and he speaks no lies. And that's the smart way to go about it. Unfortunately, it doesn't go the way he wants it to. He believes he's going to get sentenced to 3 to 5 years, and he really gets sentenced to 7 years. So his friend Lefty that he meets at this, the Fridge, I think is the first prison he goes to, I believe is a subversion of the typical kind of older mentor-ish character from, we'll say, Shawshank, where Morgan Freeman is Tim Robbins' kind of mentor, or there's another actor in Escape from Alcatraz that kind of helps Clint Eastwood. He's great in that, and that actor and that character, that kind of like mentality of like meeting someone who's been on the inside and someone who can kind of mentor you. You kind of get that vibe from Lefty. But then, as the plot moves along, you see that Lefty's just another guy, you know, like he's kind of going to be left behind. It's kind of a cool little, like, tease, like, is this guy going to be main character? Nope, bye-bye. And I thought this was really great. The most recent time I watched it, in the reverse shot conversations where he'll be talking, Thomas will be talking to someone across the table or however. The reverse shots, so like the shots are obviously of Bradley, but then the reverse shots are of the person behind Bradley's head, behind his shoulder, somehow still including Bradley, because I think it's supposed to kind of push you into him, and it's supposed to make you feel what he's feeling, even on a subconscious level, even if you don't notice that kind of stuff. So one of the first guards he meets at the prison wants to recruit him for his boxing team, his prison boxing team, and Vince Vaughn's not having it, and so that kind of goes on for a little while until Vince Vaughn has to make a change of some kind, and yeah, just watch the movie. One of the last things I wanted to bring up was the inclusion of Udo Kier, who is an actor from all types of movies. If you've seen like an evil Germanic Romanian type guy in a movie, it's probably Udo Kier. Someone who's like very maniacal, not like a brute guy. He's always wearing a suit, but he's very evil, and he always has this kind of evil, maniacal sort of air about him. Partly it's just because of the movies he's always been in. He was in, you know, Suspiria, he was in a bunch of like Giallo stuff, he was in, I mean, he's been in horror stuff since the beginning of time. If you look up his IMDb, I'll put his name here just so you know how to spell it, but yeah, just check him out. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but I figured because he kind of plays the same type of role in this movie that the director picked him because of that. So then I'm watching a behind the scenes video, and Zahler, the director, as he's directing the courtyard like weightlifting scene, he's wearing a goblin sweatshirt that has the Suspiria, Lucy Bannion, the girl from Suspiria, face there, and it says Goblin because they did the soundtrack. So I just thought that was cool, and it was an obvious show of where Zahler's tastes lie and what kind of movies he was trying to homage. and the kind of movies I think he always is trying to homage. I just wanted to go over the little bit of trivia that's on IMDb and then maybe a few production facts. So Vince Vaughn put on 15 pounds of muscle and trained as a boxer for 3 months prior to walking on set. He stated that this made the fight choreography much easier to learn, and I think he even had a history of boxing before that. It wasn't just for this movie, but I think he kind of toned up and learned some new moves for the movie, possibly. Okay, so the prosthetics used in fight scenes to show injuries were made to look like the 70s style grindhouse effects, so that makes sense. That's exactly what I was just talking about. During a Q&A at TIFF, the producers commented that the destruction of the car was done by Vince Vaughn. The car parts were real and were set up in a way that Vaughn wouldn't hurt himself badly. So apparently Zahler actually wrote this film before he wrote and directed Bone Tomahawk. So this movie's kind of been on a shelf sitting around just waiting to be put out. The pinball machine in the pool hall is Williams' 1978 machine Flash. It's just a game, I guess, from the late 70s. That's cool. Okay. I didn't think about that. Someone wrote in the trivia for IMDb that this movie could have some inspiration parallels from the Divine Comedy. It's just his journey to try to find his true love and to rescue her from the afterlife and bring her back to life. That's basically like the thinnest level of a basic storyline to that book has, because there's so much stuff that goes on. But and that's kind of, you could say the same thing for this movie. I mean, this movie is just about a man who wants his family to be all right and his family to kind of move on and prosper. And unfortunately, it comes at a great cost. So I tell you what, I think XYZ Films and RLJE Films, I believe RLJE is a Chinese-owned company now, but XYZ Films is awesome. They've made some of my favorite movies I've seen. They're great. They made, if I'm not mistaken, they made Mandy, and they made Come to Daddy, which was another good, crazy, weird movie. XYZ, you guys are doing alright. You guys are great. Keep doing what you're doing. I know you don't need me to tell you that, but I fully support you guys, and yeah, I will be seeing more of your movies. So like I said, when I first saw this, I was blown away. I thought it was really good. I wasn't quite aware of how good it was, I guess, but yeah, revisiting it, I really wanted to talk about it. I enjoy it a lot, and it's a movie I think more people should see, especially if you appreciate movies kind of like Punch Drunk Love, or something where kind of a comedic guy gets really real and kind of slows down and gets dramatic with something. It's really what this was. And it was also a celebration of old school practical effects. It was also an homage to old prison movies. So I mean, it has a lot of really awesome stuff going on. To me, it's just really valuable. It has a lot of potential to be a cult classic. I don't think it made a lot when it came out, but I think if enough people get behind it, you know, we could get some, I don't know, we can get something going on it. We can get some real discussions and some analyses on what this movie is really about. If you guys enjoy movie reviews, if you guys have friends that enjoy talking about movies, please send them my way. Please tell them about LaneFlix Media, because we're working really hard. We're trying to build the brand. We're trying to expand what we're doing. I'm working right now with a friend of mine on Twitter on some short horror comedy puppet stuff, so that will be coming out around Halloween. Please come back in September. Please, you know, stay tuned, because if I put more stuff out, I would love for you guys to watch it and talk to me about it and tell me what you think. Yeah, just please like and comment and subscribe, and I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have a great day.